Check one, check two. We live, we live, we live. Let me know if the audio's okay. Just want to welcome everyone. Let's get it kicked off. Just talking about my time at DOD. Talk about some gems, some few things I've done wrong in life, which is a ton. So just checking the sound. So I think we're good to go. So I want to wish everybody TGIF. Happy Friday. If you got any questions, of course, just throw them in the chat box. Just throw them in the chat box. So once again, just kind of going over some of my time at DOD. So I'm just kind of going counting in my third or fourth year. I'm at DOD. I'm doing pretty well. Getting my programming on. I'm getting my. I'm in there. There's probably a team of 8. So we all kind of got our expertise. I'm kind of the Java guy, doing some PL SQL. Probably in my 30s. If you look actually at the thumbnail, I'm laughing. That's probably actually me at DOD, looking skinny with a little hair, with a nice little suit on. Check out the thumbnail. That's me. That's me. I don't know why I'm just cracking up over it. So yeah, I'm at DOD. I'm entrenched. I'm making powerful moves. I meet one of the main guys there. We've been good friends forever. His name is Bond, like 007. I'm gonna get him in the on the podcast. He's I think one of the top architects in the Midwest. So I'm there. I'm working. After work, people are going out, which I really didn't do much of. People are networking. People are connecting. And that's what I think a lot of people miss out on today. How do you network? How do you bond with people? How do you get a name for yourself, right? Now people are getting on YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat. I'm still trying to get my Twitter game up, but how do you network in real life, right? How do you actually network in real life? So now you can join organizations, you can join associations. Of course, you can join a lot of things online, which is cool. Um, I'm part of a lot of LinkedIn groups, a lot of Facebook groups. The thing with the pandemic is now going in a Zoom meeting is quite common, right? You can easily join a Zoom meeting. Now, I'd probably go through 2, 3, or 4 cybersecurity groups across the United States where I just join to their local meeting group. Usually I just went to one in my state. Now I go to Indiana, Chicago's. One guy invited me to California. so now I'm kind of meeting people from all over the state. So once you do that, like we talked about, you start growing your network. As your network grow, right? A lot of people say your net worth is your network, right? As I get a little older, people who I can call, people who I can reach out to, people who I can ask for help, people who ask me for help, right? So that's kind of the beautiful thing that's out here that's kind of working for today. Um, Networking in person. Hopefully, the pandemic is winding down. So what would I do is I would meet people in your team, for drinks. Some I still don't do a lot of holiday parties and company get-togethers. I'm starting to actually do that more and more, right? Especially when you're talking about in the cybersecurity, because cybersecurity, even though you see a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people um, trying to get in the industry. Because if you look at cybersecurity on LinkedIn, you think it's millions of people in cybersecurity, especially in your state. Depending on your state, cybersecurity ecosystem is small. Like I said, I probably know. Like I said, I work for a large government agency, and the cybersecurity teams, even though there are multiple agencies in the state, each one of those teams are pretty small. So I mean, so once you get in there and get out there, it's It's very small, super small industry. Some of the things I like about cybersecurity is um, it's like you said, it's a hot industry. It pays well. You get a lot of authority, but a lot of times comes with that authority of pay. There's a couple times where we up at 11 o'clock at night trying to figure out if something happened. Right? Who do we call? What system is it? Are we hacked? Do we need to call our third party vendors? Sometimes I see CISOs, they look super stressed. Sometimes they don't sleep very well, right? So a lot of times you think you want to get in this industry, right? So, but what part of the industry do you want to be in, right? Because cybersecurity is, even though it's not a ton of people in it, there's a ton of things you can do in it, right? Red team, blue team, purple team, management. I was talking about people, which I'm not very good at. Policy writing. Um, there's a whole management piece of that. Configuration management, build team, DevOps team. A lot of those people have security components with it. All right, so trying to figure out what part of this industry you want to be in is, I wouldn't say hard. The cool thing is you can always switch up as your skills expand. You can easily go from policies and procedures to DevOps to I'm a security analyst, so I do a lot of federal work. So you deal with federal work, you deal with federal audits. So when outside auditors come in, from a technical standpoint, working with the all the teams, the networking team, database team, the business team, programming and development, right? Each one of those teams got certain security checks that they need to be doing to make sure that they're secure in this industry. Right, so I learned a lot of that stuff from DOD because when I was at DOD, I was doing security work for the web team, which is cool. So I actually did I think I want to say it was 300 checks to do on a web server and app server, right, to make sure it's secured to do government work. So since I've actually done that type of work, right, I'm comfortable doing it. So as a consultant, when I come on site, I'm familiar with probably 90% of the teams that I'm asking to do security work, where I can help them, or at worst, I could call somebody that actually done those type of checks, right, for that. So that's the cool thing. And last week we were kind of talking about the imposter syndrome, and as you get more comfortable at your job, getting more comfortable with the people you work with, the people you work with, identifying you as a subject matter expert and asking you for your help, your analysis, your expertise in the area, right? That's going to help you with that because you belong, you've done the work, you got the search, you got the background, right? But I think what everybody talks about and brings up is getting your certifications, getting your skills up, trying to understand what does that mean, for the industry as a whole, right? What does that mean when you're stuck? What does that mean when everybody's looking for you for an answer, right? Sometimes you might not know the answer, but you can get the answer. Being known as a person that's able to solve a problem or get an answer is super important also, especially when you're talking about cybersecurity because you could be hacked, you could be hemorrhaging data, you could lost all the company's bank accounts, right? So people just want to make sure you or basically like a SME, a subject matter expert. What do you do when things get rough? I always joke with people. I make my money when things are the craziest, when systems are down, when people think they've been hacked, when people are nervous, right? When people says we got this audit came in and we got this big ding, what is the answer to that, right? What is my solution to solve the problem, right? And the older I get, sometimes the solution is let the other subject matter experts get together and stay out their way. Right? That's a deal breaker opportunity is what IT is. There's a problem. We're gonna meet every hour on the hour. If you meet every hour on hour, how you gonna fix the problem, right? Sometime as an industry, I know we definitely over meet, right? When I used to work for big corporations, we used to meet about the meeting before we met about the meeting, right? So sometimes you just need to get out the way and trust the people who actually does that, right? You pay them for a reason, right? And that's how people, rise to the occasion. As you work with people, you kind of quickly figure out who's a real SME, who actually knows what they're doing, who actually is a junior guy that's saying there as a senior, and who's the senior guy that's actually a junior, right? Sometimes people get promoted just to be promoted because of time, right? So who's really know what they're doing? So when you're in a crisis, you can reach out to those guys, right? So where I work at, there's probably 4 or 5 guys I know when it's time, or if I'm stuck. These are the guys I know I need to call because they're gonna make things happen. They're gonna make solve a problem. If they're not, I used to work for the company. Their favorite saying is the best thing to a quick net to a yes is a quick no. If I think it's a problem and it's not, and you come back 5 minutes later and says no, that's not the it, I can go ahead and move on to my next course of action. If I'm waiting for you, waiting for you, and then 4 hours later you come back and tell me I can't do it right, I don't wasted 4 hours. Where if you good, you come back and say 5, 10 minutes, like that's not it, that's not the problem. It's something else, right? Now I can move on to my next course of action, and when you solving problems, you have a list of options in your head what you think it is, right? So I've been doing this long enough. I can say, okay, it's a network hop, it's a Cisco, the firewall's blocking, the local firewall blocking, check the GPOs, right? So there's a ton of things, scenarios you can go through in your mind, right? But if you got a team of people, you can go through those options super quick, right? And your option Z is you might need to roll back from that particular setup, right? So those are the things as you get in this business, especially as you get into supervisor and managers, right? Everybody on a project is not going to be this alpha person, super detailed. They mastered every section of this system, right? So you need to know who's mastering what and what sections and when to call on them, right? Because at a certain level, you're just going to facilitate a problem in IT, right? When you get to a certain level, even when I was programming, right, I would program a full stack, but my program's not work. It could be the networking, it could be the database, it could be internal firewalls, it could be just a myriad of things that's not really. It took me years to learn that it's really not the program's fault, right? So as you get up in this career, you start networking with people. You need to get your network built up so you have people you can call on different facility things, everything from technology to life to just networking. There's guys I call even at my age that I ask questions to. Everybody needs mentors and people to work with them and kind of people to guide them with. So that's one of the things. What's up, Daryl? Happy Friday, man. I'm just up here chopping it up, talking about some past histories at me working at DOD. If you got any questions, just chime them in the chat. I'm just kind of going through some high level networking and kind of background on some jobs I had and some things I did wrong and the things I did right. One of the things at DOD I learned that it took me a while to learn is bad news never gets any better. If you make a mistake, just say I made this mistake. I need some help and get over it. I see a lot of junior people trying to. I made a mistake. I'm gonna try to fix it. What's up, Calvin? Uh, so I see a lot of junior people that make mistakes. Then they try to cover them up. Then as junior people try to cover up mistakes, they start getting um, worse, not getting any better. Stuff starts locking up. And I understand as a junior person, right? You're like nervous. Oh, I made a mistake. I'm gonna get in trouble, right? But the thing too is departments work together. I got that good person keep saying. I see you, Calvin. I see. So if you make a mistake, right? If you tell your manager and they tell their leaders, right, they can get out in front of your mistakes, right? So if I said, okay, I was supposed to send years ago, I was supposed to send a check file to somewhere, and I sent the check file, but it got an error, so I couldn't figure out if it made it or not. So I was kind of hoping it made it, right? Favorite saying at DOD, hope is not a strategy. So, so basically, I wasted an hour just kind of. All shameless plugs are good, Calvin. All plugs are good on my channel, man. Plug away. Um, mistakes never get better the longer they are. So if you tell somebody in front, they can help you figure it out, right? So, so the story behind that is everybody's gonna make mistakes. Trust in your team. Have your team double check you. I've been in this game for a long time, but if I do something and I'm kind of not sure, I call the guy expert or the guy that's done it a little more. I'll be like, I got an error, but I think the file went through. I looked at the return code. The return code looks good on that file. Did it go through? Right. Uh, I think my script checks to make sure it got on the other side. It logged in and it did a LS. It'll check the length of the file, but I couldn't figure out if it went through. So long story short is, if you're not sure, you're not mistake, or you can't double check it, call your peers over. When you're on a team, you should have peer review. Your team should be working together. You should be learning from your team. I wouldn't I wouldn't take a job now unless I thought I could learn from somebody. I mean, the IT industry is so vast now, right? That it's always something learning. So I'm gonna start doing labs. I'm gonna start doing Java and Oracle database programming again, and do Purple Team online and get back in application security. Why? That's a new place, not a new place. Once again, we getting hit by that. I need to get those skills up. So I've been reaching out to some younger guys who does do that more than I do. Right? I don't program a lot much more, but I've been reaching out to those guys. We've been going back and forth. I've been getting my environment set up. Why? I'm trying to work on my skills. Right? So I'm hoping to program, get those skills up. A lot of people tease me. I'm gonna run the STIGs on my application. Those are security technical guidelines. That's how you lock down an application for DoD. So I always said I'm gonna come online and promote STIGs and the blue team. Right. So if you look at some of my videos, I'm actually gonna put a playlist. I'm gonna have all the STIGs for all the particular environments you in: Cisco, Oracle. I just did one on the Nginx web server. I did one on Apache. I did one on Tomcat. So how do you lock those down? So how do you lock down your server? So those are some of the things. Like I said, I'm adding to the YouTube technology because most people don't do DoD level security and blue team. So that's one thing I talk about because I think with the nation states coming online and big boys coming online, you're gonna need big boy security. So I'm trying to bring big boy security to YouTube. Right? It's amazing though. I work with people, and I'm not jabbing them a lot of times. A lot of people even know when I come on. Shout out to Keep It Tech. He always asks the interview, "Do you know anything about STIGs?" Because that's gonna be my question, right? I'm just trying to make it work. Why? Number one is it teaches you how to lock down your particular area of expertise. Once again, Oracle DBA, web server, app server, development. It's cool. I've been working with the Cisco guys, especially network, bruh. Go out and set up. They start asking me for the STIG of the day for the Cisco checks. So I thought that was cool. So when I come online, they're like, we need the STIG of the day for the whatever lab they're doing. So they were running Cisco. I think they were running Cisco ENG, and they were running. I want to say it was. It was DACP. So I told them they need to time out the DACP. If they don't get the IP after a certain length, they need to have it time out. So a hacker wouldn't go over there and be able to pull the same IP. So it makes sure it times out. So if somebody jumps on their machine when they're not on there, they could pull that session off and use that IP. So it's kind of cool that I got that one Cisco channel where every time I come on, they ask for the the stig of the day for the Cisco networking checking. So once again, we're gonna let's talk about which I'm a master of. When you're at work, you got to kind of master the small talk. Not a technology thing, not a thing. It's a people thing, right? So when you come in a meeting, people are comfortable with you. When you come in a meeting, people are, wanting to work with you, right? I know you heard where some people talk good about people and some people talk about bad about people, right? What does that have to do with security and technology, right? A lot of times you get promoted on how people feel about you, not your skills, not how many certs you got, about how people feel about you, right? I know you know some guys that are probably technically savvy, super smart, but they're assholes. So, do you really want to work with them, right? So there's a inverse curve with that, right? If you're an asshole, you got to be super good, right? So that's why I tell people you can be an asshole, but you better be technology SME. You better be a guru, right? You need to be at the top of your game, right? What's up, Adamar? Glad you came. Right, so I'm not telling you to tap dance. I ain't telling you to kiss anybody's behind. I'm just telling you to master the small talk, ingratiate yourself to people. And two is I love doing favors for people. Why? I'm like the mafia. I'm putting my favors in my hand, and I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna need a favor, and I don't need you to answer any questions, right? So I do favor for people around the world. Let's see. My CNA course, they went over a lot of port security isolation. We're supposed to be able to know what port is connected to, what IP and MAC address. That is true. That's true. The cool thing a lot about it is if you go into Cisco, they actually have the abbreviation for it. So TTY, BTelnet, they call it HTTP and HTTPS. So you just type in HTTP. You don't even put the port number in Cisco. I was doing network, bro. They actually had probably the top 25 was actually they actually had abbreviation for that to help you in Cisco routing. So that's funny you ask. Like I said, I was giving them my stig of the day for the Cisco team. Um, and two is I don't personally do a lot of Cisco or physically do a lot of Cisco. I do a lot of Cisco assessments. So I'll give you a security check and it tells you in Cisco how to set it. Right, so I need to understand at a high level what Cisco's doing and what network's doing. But as a security analyst, right, if you can't do that check, I need to be able to work with you to come up with a compensating control or show a different way how to do it. Right, so that's kind of where I come with this security analysis. Yeah, Calvin, on my channel, probably next week I'm gonna do. I think Cisco had 105 checks locking down a Cisco switch, so I'm gonna do a video on that, how to lock that down. So when you network with people and you work on small talk, right now we're talking about soft skills, and I struggled with that a lot when I was younger. Technology people, how do you communicate with people? How do you communicate with customers? How do you communicate with your boss? Right, a lot of times your boss is not as technical as you are, right? I've been on big teams where bosses on the Cisco team they were really handling budgets, man, because their Cisco team was so big. So they would do hiring, firing, and the business aspect of running a large Cisco team. When I worked at DOD, they had a Cisco team. I think it had to be like 50 people on that team. It was a huge team because we had like one big branch. We had a bunch of satellite offices, so you have to master that. And of course, those guys have to get out there in those closets, so you gotta have a 24/7 Cisco team to be able to handle that. Shoot any questions in the chat if y'all want them. I'm just chit chat. Then my VMware classes taught me to put the virtual environment with alarms, right? Oh, that's true. I'm huge on VMware because if you look at the zero trust, a lot of times you setting a VMware firewall within there. I don't know if you looked at Techtrations in there. They got some cool stuff in VMware Techtration. I do a lot of VMware too because, of course, that's the most hyper VMware that people use, especially in the government. So we do a ton of VMware. I think I did a VMware where I was sticking it because you got to stick the guest host to make sure it doesn't get to the root host. Um, so as I get older now, like I said, I got young guys coming to me. Now we talking about soft skills, kind of handle their balls, kind of, when to push back, when not to push back, when is it time to leave and get a new job, right? With the pandemic easing up, it seems like there's a lot more jobs out there too. So how to ask for a raise? Should you ask for a raise, right? Look out on LinkedIn. I'm not sure that's it, but some Indeed.com and all those sites. A lot of times for your job, they actually have a. Some companies actually put out the salary ranges out in Indeed, so you can figure out what you should be paid and what you think you should be paid, right? Then hopefully you'll network with guys. They'll tell you, what they make, so you kind of know, you know, what you should be paying in your city and in your state, right? Because what you get paid in San Francisco is gonna be what you get paid in Iowa, right? Cost of living. Too. Actually, I'm actually looking at Austin, Texas. They said is the next one of the big next tech hubs that a lot of people going down there. So I might go down there and check it out. So and the cool thing on yeah, if you looked at me and Cyber Center did look on my live. She actually asked me like 20 questions on zero trust. And two, if you want to go live, me and you, we can talk about it online. I did a video with her, and there's a VMware slide in there talking about VMware using it in the tech trations and VMware, and how we were talking about using that to do micro segmentation. So on my live, it's me and Cyber Center person chopping it up about zero trust. Yeah, I'm gonna do more videos on zero trust because the government made that a high priority after the Colonial Pipeline. They actually in the executive order, Biden, he actually mentioned zero trust, which I thought that was weird for a president to mention zero trust in an executive order. I actually did a video on the executive order, and I was surprised when the executive order actually named the architecture and technology. That's kind of rare for an executive order. Um, and two is the cool thing with LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat. It's easy to look people up, right? It's easy to figure out what they like to do. It's easy to figure out um, where they hang out. It's easy to figure out their favorite restaurant, right? So if I talk to somebody, if I did some research, if I know you like, the weird thing is I was in an interview and I actually used to work for a model airplane company. And I looked to the wall, he had a model airplane up there. So we talked about model airplanes. It was an hour interview. I'm not exaggerating. We talked about model airplanes for 35 minutes, and I ended up getting a job because we chopped it up about model airplanes. So, and I worked for the company. It was a model airplane association, and they made $12 million a year selling an association of model airplanes. So stuff like that when you meet people. Then two is the industry so small in cybersecurity, especially for a state. I probably know somebody that know that guy, right? Or know this person I'm about to interview, or know my boss, or know this organization, right? So they could tell me, okay, this boss is like this, or this boss is like that, or this guy doesn't like when you do this, right? Or two is if I find a guy that he really likes, I'd be like, hey man, I need you to drop my name in his ear, right? I need you to connect us. So when I come in there, right, his guard is let down because the guy he trusts me, right? That's actually how public and private keys work, right? We trust GoDaddy and VeriSign, then the client trusts that, right? So that's kind of how it actually works. So that's how it works in real life. Um, I've got interview jobs for people I didn't even really interview for. It was like, we want him. This guy says he's good. We're gonna hire him, right? So two is, but how do you show people how good you are, right? How do you articulate it to people? How do people Name you a SME. All right. How do you become a subject matter expert? Some of it's your certs, some of it's your tests, some of it's degrees. You actually become a SME when other people say you are a SME. Right? If somebody asks about you and they don't give you the SME, they don't anoint you a SME, then you're not a SME. You can have all the certs you want. I know guys with certs that I think are mediocre, and I know guys that really have no certs that I think are top notch. I hope so, Durr. I don't think he gonna make it to the sticks. I'm gonna have to try to get him to say stick. I was surprised he said zero trust. Shout out to the sticks, Biden. Shout out to the sticks. Get Biden into the sticks. So, but yeah. But I think that's giving that's showing you how serious it is out here. When presidents out here talking about ransomware, paying what they pay 4.5 or $5 million to Colonial, then some hospital pay like 20 million or 40 million. It was a big number. So, and I'm sure everybody's aware the weakest companies here do our infrastructure. The nuclear, the electric grid sucks, the water grid sucks, the natural gas grid sucks, and obviously the oil pipeline sucks because those are ran by private companies. Those are not ran by government companies. Those are ran by private companies. They have government oversight, but those are ran by private companies. So how do you do oversight on a private? And two is the weird thing is with the pipeline. They gave it to TSA. I think TSA passed me down when I go to the airport. I never think of TSA as a cybersecurity expert organization. So I'm still a little perplexed by how TSA became the oversight agency for the Colonial Pipeline. Because that's transportation. I would think more Department of Energy and let's bulk it up. But the cool thing about that though is it's going to be job opportunities because I don't think TSA is equipped to do cybersecurity for an infrastructure company, aka the oil pipeline, right? Because now you're talking about industrial controllers, you're talking about internet, and I think that stuff has been cobbled together over the years. I don't think it's something smooth and ready to roll out with zero trust and got three-tier architecture. I don't think it's got FIPS 140-2 government encryption set up. So those are a lot of the terms you need to do when you do government level encryption. So is the TSA set up to do that? I don't think so, but hell. That's funny, Daryl. I'm gonna start doing that. Sticks for president. You know, cheer me up, Daryl, with the sticks for president. I like that. I'm gonna start shouting that out. Sticks for president. We're gonna have to put that in the presidential speech. Um, so like TSA, who are they hiring? Like I said, we should go on to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Indeed. We need to figure out who's running TSA, who's setting up for TSA. Right. The cool thing is there's so many guys in this sector of YouTube that smees in different areas of cybersecurity. We could put our own side company together and go make a government bid. Sticks for president, we can win the bid. Sticks win the bid. Right. So there's a lot of talent out here. That's one thing I was super excited when I came here and I wanted to put my 2 cents in. All right, so I came to say, okay, I want to bring federal level security. I want to help different guys in that area, and I just want to not overwhelm them, but just give them a small taste of what a federal check looks like. Because when I usually ask somebody, shout out to Network Bruh, I just kind of asked him, if somebody says secure a Cisco router, what does that mean to you? What checks are you going to do at it? If I say secure your Cisco router for a state client, what does that mean? If I say secure your Cisco router for DOD and a federal level client, what does that mean to you? Right? If I say secure it for PCI credit cards, what does that mean to you? If I say lock down your Cisco router for a HIPAA in a hospital, what does that mean to you? Then if you the same thing, if you're a programmer, database, web admin, if I ask you to lock down your device, your level of expertise, something you're supposed to be a SME in, what does that mean to you? And most people don't have an answer for that, right? It's no diss, but I do federal level big clients. So what does that mean to you? I know what it means to me, but what does that mean to you, right? I learned better in my career just grinding facts, independent contractor, router, hire gun, facts. I've been that forever. I follow instructions, Cisco, I train American, I'm a network dude, transitioning. That's cool. That's cool. Oh, Calvin, you right there. You can definitely make that transfer because a lot of people don't realize this, and the basic the basics of cybersecurity, the foundation of cybersecurity is networking. The first thing we ask is control your network traffic, set up your partitions or your VLAN to control web, app, and database VLANs to control your traffic between there. Now I can set my rights about who can get to what and who can't get to what, right? Most of that starts with your networking, right? In the cloud, I'm studying VPC for AWS. That's just networking in the cloud, right? What subnets can see to what subnets. Then when I do a VPN peer, what does my own net on-prem networking looks like compared to my own cloud? Then when I connect them, right, that should be looking like one network from my on-prem network from my company to my actual VPC and AWS cloud. It should look like one big networking. Oh no, you good. Don't worry about the typos. It's all good, man. I want you guys. Some dudes believe they're using too facts. So now you good with the typos. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm trying to bring. Like you said, SHA-256, and kind of too as a cyber analyst, cyber security person, I just really call myself a cyber guy. Is you got to prove that stuff. Okay, you using you got a VPN tunnel. Are you using SHA-256? Are you using SHA-1? Using MD5? What are you using? And you got to be able to prove it, right? Because as an analyst, I'm going to ask for, they call it evidence, right? So I need you to show me that switch. I need you to do IP routes so I can see the routes on your network, right? I'm going to come in with Wireshark, and I'm actually going to see where I can get to and what can I see, right? If you say I can't get to that VLAN, but my Wireshark IP pings it, we're going to have a problem, right? So just getting guys used to, like you said, that transitioning. But Calvin, that should be, I won't say easy transition, but a lot of people are looking for network people on the cybersecurity team because that's actually one of the weakest links to most cybersecurity team is the networking, right? I mean, so a lot of times though, I depend on a networking guy. Those guys are just me. I'm just asking them to prove the checks I need them to run and say that they did what the check said it should do, right? These are the only ciphers you can run on Cisco, right? Like you said, you SHA-256, MD5. You know what type of hashing are you doing, right? Like my bruh, me and network bruh, he always joking. You can't run telnet in a production environment, right? The password goes in the clear when you log in, right? You gotta do SSH on your Cisco to make sure nothing's getting hacked, right? Those are the checks, we run. So how do you prove it? I always tease network bro because he does it on his labs. I like it's cool in the lab, but when we go to production, you got to be able to switch that off, and he can. He's the man. But so I just want to get him used to seeing that type of level of checks that's in there, right? So then two is your LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook should be touting what are you a SME in, right? What is your area of expertise, right? Who's anointing you as the SME in your area? Like I said, you can have all the search in the world, but it's your peer group, your colleagues, and other people around your city that's gonna dictate it. It's gonna dictate really if you're a SME or not, right? I'm in Try Hack Me next. Okay, that's cool. I'm hooked. Yeah, Try Hack Me is cool. I've seen it. I haven't done much of it, but like I said, I've seen it. We actually have these capture the flag labs. I'm gonna start running. Um, there's 8 people current that's viewing. A lot of people don't know I'm actually a real professor at a local college, so I'm actually probably gonna put a couple of my classes actually up on YouTube so they can see how I operate. So now, so in those classes, we actually do some grab the flag exercises with Wireshark, Nmap, and a ton of those tools. So I'm actually going to bring that um, to my channel, more labbing. I really want to start in July, which is a couple weeks away, so I need to get back. So that's something else I'm going to actually bring to my channel so y'all can see me live. And if there's something you specifically want to see, I don't know where you sign up for. I need to check on that. The CTF. I need to sign up for that, Calvin. I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, so I'm start living more on my channel, doing like I said, capture the flag. I teach introduction to cybersecurity, and at the end of that class, you're supposed to be able to pass the Security Plus exam. So I'm gonna start bringing a couple of those labs actually online, so we can actually look at it, look at Wireshark, look at Nmap. There's a couple hacking tools that actually try to take over your network that I'm going to run. So those are going to come more to my lab. Duro said, when I got my CCNA hardware security much meant hardening port security, MAC address, limiting per port timeouts, violation laws, and now I'm in. Oh, though that's a good start. Now that's true. That's a lot of the stuff that. That's a lot of the beginning stuff you need to do. A lot of people, which is weird, don't like to do static IP addresses. They think it's too much work. So that's kind of one of my big fights. I'm a huge static IP address guy. Why am I a static IP address guy? If I know the network that's supposed to be on your laptop, then I can configure exactly what you're going to get to. Right? You personally, not you logging into a AD group and all these people in the AD group. I like to know individually what people should be getting into, specifically what their IP address do. But most people do DHCP because it's easier. But I'm a huge static IP address guy. Cisco, if you look on my channel, there. Wow, I haven't done it. If you Google a Stig space Cisco and your router, or if you just do router switch, they'll come up. Then we can actually talk about them. Google it, Daryl, look at them, then we can definitely chop it up about them. Like I said, I think there was the ones I was looking at. There was like 100 checks, and I tell everybody to go through the sticks because two is they're very detailed. There's a short abbreviation, then there's a tell you what the fix is going to be. Then there's a discussion and it tells you why you're going to do it. Why are you going to do a MAC addressing? Why are you going to do limited port? Why would you do timeout? Most of that stuff is so people don't do a DDoS attack for you, right? If your session never times out and I could keep grabbing it and I could keep sending packets, right, I could DDoS your site. So it has like 4 columns and they actually do a discussion of why you're actually setting that check. Right, so then it gets into detailed explanation of that. And two, that helps you understand Cisco, right? Because there was one check was weird. It took me a while to understand. It says we're going to check to make sure you're only using the internal IP addresses of your organization. Why would you do that, right? Because there's some attacks. I heard blue Smurf, red one that actually start echoing, and it actually starts. Creating more traffic inside your Cisco router in your network, and it actually make it DDoS itself. So it's saying, oh, this IP address doesn't belong in this network, so we're just going to drop it. But the way they worded that check, I was like, what are they saying? But as you do it 5 times, 3 times, like me, I've done a lot of these Stig checks over 100 times, especially when you're talking about programming, Oracle database, Apache and Tomcat. I've probably done those probably hundreds of times, right? So we can definitely get in there and chop it up, kind of about the Stigs. Like I said, my next video, you see it. It's probably gonna come out this weekend. I'm gonna go through one of the Cisco switches. Like I said, there's about 100 checks. I'm just gonna probably show the top 10 of those checks and just kind of break it down what it looks like. Um, how to is just Google it. Just do Blue Smurf networking tag. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Yeah, do Blue Smurf networking tech. Now I gotta look at it. Blue Smurf networking attack. So yeah, it's common. It's an attack. It actually start. I gotta remember. You send a request to the Cisco router. The Cisco router sends requests back to me, but I never respond. So if I do that 1,000 times, I have 1,000 sessions open. You're gonna run out of memory because it's gonna wait for me to respond. Right. So that's kind of a way to. It's a DDoS attack that you can do in turn, and it starts echoing. So I could do that, and I could do that between two Cisco routers, and it'll start echoing back and forth. That's a different attack. But the original one is you respond, and this I never respond, so the Cisco's holding my session open. Since my session's open, you're gonna run out of memory. It might be just Smurf attack, but Google that. Let me. It should be out there. Um, so yeah, those are a lot of. Now I gotta look it up while we talking now. Make sure I got it right. So yeah, there's a lot of different attacks. That's the beauty in the in the cybersecurity world. There's a ton of attacks and networking. There's a ton of attacks out there. A ton of. That's the beauty about this. Ton of different attacks. Attacks don't seem like they're gonna stop. Seems like it's only getting worse with the ransomware. Um, but the cool thing is, it seems like we'll be wanted. Yeah, there it is. You see it on Wikipedia? Yeah, Smurf attack. It's a distributed denial of service. Check me out. I did that with nothing. I did that off the top of my head. No, I'm joking. Smurf attack is distributed denial of service attack, in which a large number of ICMP packets with the intent of victim spoof source IP address of the computer using the IP broadcast address. Most devices on the network by default will respond by sending a reply to the source IP address of the machine. So yeah, that's the one. I'm looking at it on my phone now. That's the one. It was just called Smurf attack. I don't know why I added the blue. I'm kind of tired today. Then off of that, it was the Fraggle attack. Okay, the Fraggle attack. A Fraggle attack is a variation of the Smurf attack, when an attacker sends a large amount of UDP traffic to port 7, echoing, and 19 is chagrin. So if you look up the Fraggle attack, it's a variation of the Smurf attack. So there's a lot of these internet attacks that does DDoS. So part of the STIGs tells you, yeah, that's the one I mean, the Smurf attack and the Fraggle attack. So those are the things the STIGs talk about, why we set these settings, so people want to be able to use those type of attacks. So yeah, so see, Calvin, you ready, man? You ready to come on over to the cybersecurity team? Right. So now we done jumped off into the Cisco world, but yeah, so that the Smurf attack and the Fraggle attack. I always hate these weird names. The Fraggle attack. It's probably, I want to say it's 7 of those, Calvin. If you look, those type of denial of service attack. And the cool thing is, Cisco's got really most of that easily to configure. You hit a couple of buttons and it configure it, but you got to know to configure it. Right. So those are the things we talk about in the STIGs, and the STIGs actually talk about those attacks and talk about the settings used to block those attacks. So those are the ones I usually talk about, is the Smurf attack. I don't know why I keep calling it the blue, and the Fraggle. And there's probably, like I said, 5 more attacks coming off of those two Cisco DDoS attacks. And once again, that's one reason I do the STIGs. Even if you forget them inside the STIG check, they say this is the check you need to do for the Fraggle. This is the check you need to do for the Smurf attack. Right. So that's the reason and a lot of people are not aware of those, right? A lot of people. So when you go through the sticks for that particular thing, it talks about, especially those attacks been out. Oh my God, 15 years. So those attacks been out forever. So and once again, is that's how you become a SME in that area, or a SME in the area that you want to be in, right? How do I become known in my sector, in my manosphere, in my job, in my state, in my region, right? There's guys that you know, Kaspersky. I mean, there's guys that are known throughout the world, right? I'm just trying to be known within my state, right? I'm just trying to get dudes with known in my little, not even my whole state, dudes to know me within my city, right? Right. So as they say in the rap, there's levels to this, right? So I'm getting on in my city. I'm getting a little puff from YouTube. I'm trying to bring something little different to the YouTube game. So Dora asked a question. So Professor, I have the new CNA, C plus, CYSA, but the company I currently work with is still harping on having a bachelor's degree. Experience, entry level siphon. You think it's time for me to bounce? Yeah, if they don't respect what you've done. Um, are you in IT? Are you in IT in the company? They won't let you on the security team. The weird, if you look back on my live, it's a dude in there named I call him Big Cam. He actually had a master's degree and he was a programmer. He has a master's degree in cybersecurity. The only reason he got on the cybersecurity team is because I liked him and I brought him on the cybersecurity team. I told my boss, "This is the guy. This is the guy I want." So we hired him. Um, the cool thing is, Daryl, I would talk to your company and figure out, because to me, if you have CCNA, Security Plus, CYSA, uh, that should count for 3 years of a bachelor's degree, right? Because when I got my bachelor's degree in computer science, I didn't know anything about cybersecurity. I came out as a programmer, right? So those certifications are targeted to a specific skill set. And two is, I would tell them the government accept those as in lieu of experience. I think it's called the 8540. Those are certifications you need to do your job. So the government forces you to get them. No, that's cool. That's cool. You should be able to. You should. They should let you. Um. I would start looking, man. If you're comfortable, I don't know how many years you got there. I don't know how loyal you two are to that company, but I would start looking. Especially now, it seems like there's a lot of jobs opening since the pandemic is. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing us. It's kind of easing up, so I would start looking. And two is I don't know what city you're in or state you're in. Look for your local security group. There's one called ISSA. ISSA, yeah. In our local ISSA in in the state I'm in Indiana. In the city I'm in, we have a local group, and we're meeting by Zoom. And in that Zoom meeting, they actually bring up jobs that are opening in that area. So when we open up the meeting, I said, yeah, when we open up the meeting, people say, my company's looking for this type of job, or has this job opening. We're looking for a network guy. We're looking for a GRC guy. We're looking for a risk guy. We're looking for a network guy. We're looking for a security analyst job. So a lot of those, like I said, in our ISAA group, we meet the second Thursday every month. I miss this month. But yeah, they start with job openings, and the cool thing is, since I'm kind of radical and I speak up, everybody know who I am now. So it's kind of cool, right? So I'm always chiming in. I'm always presenting. I'm always asking the presenter a question. What I specifically try not to do when I do that is, I'm not trying to embarrass the presenter. I'm asking a question to try to learn. So if he doesn't know it, I'm always like, "That's cool, man. This is security. Everybody doesn't know anything." So I'm not trying to embarrass anybody in these meetings. I'm just trying to say, okay, is it FIPS 140-2? What is FIPS 140-2? That's encryption you send off to the government to verify that the encryption is done correctly. A lot of people say they're doing encryption, but if nobody's validated, how do you know if that product is doing encryption correctly? Right? So a lot of people don't understand that. So I always ask them, is the encryption you use in your product at a certain level? right? And I'm like, dude, if you don't know, it's cool, and if it's not, don't worry about it. But from a compliance, state, federal, right? It's what type that is. So yeah, but yeah, so there's a lot of security groups meeting. Like I said, in ours, they actually bring up their job up. Yeah, Calvin, just Google it. FIPS 140-2 is encryption. It's usually AES 256. That's what usually the government wants you to use. But people implement it wrong. People try to program it itself. So you send your software off to the government and they look at it. So if you Google FIPS 140-2, you'll see it out there. It's just sending it off to the government, and the government checks to make sure your encryption is done right. A lot of people believe it's letting the government see your algorithm so they can hack your application. That could be too, as I scratch my leg. But yeah, so those are some of the government sites. Yeah, Calvin. One thing is when I've been in DOD and I work for a state government, and the STIGs, it's full of acronyms. So I can acronym people to death. But yeah, just look that up. It's a government approved encryption that the government signed off on and said you did correctly. Um, but yeah, Daryl, I would do that. I would keep working. I would reach out to. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you checked on Network, bruh. What's the big guy? Oh God, he does the Cisco, especially in the sphere. I can't even think of. Oh, Dewan. Daryl, I hope you checking out Network Burger and Dewan. Both of those guys are killing it. They the Cisco guys for me in this sector. I usually check those guys out. And they lab every day. They got me using the hashtag. I got a lab every day in my old age. So those guys are actually killing it in the network game. They're running labs, especially network, bro. He usually labs Monday through Thursday, and he's actually studying for his. I think he has the CCNA. I think it's the next thing up above the CCNA. He said he was studying for. So I pop in on network, bruh. BRUH. So I usually go in there. Like I said, I give him the stick of the day. And two is, um, I do networking. Like I said, from a overview level, cause I check on the stigs and I check to make sure it configure right. But I don't configure it myself. So watching those guys configuring, watching those guys work the lab, watching those guys set up routers and switches and trying to ping between the firewall and the DHCP to get the IP addresses, to see it done in real time helps me out a lot, right? So now I have a much better understanding of networking, especially Cisco, because he's actually, you know, um, using the ENG to virtually set that up. So to see it virtually set up for me is a big help. And even at my age, I'm still trying to learn, man. People don't know I'm in my 50s, so I got about another decade, and I'm trying to get out this game and leave it to y'all young whippersnappers, man. I'm trying to go somewhere with my grandkids and get on the beach somewhere. But now, let's see, but yeah, that's the one thing I really enjoyed about YouTube. There's some great communities, some great guys that help. LinkedIn, once again, ton of guys, women, just a ton of people you can connect with, and people that's willing to help you. That's the beautiful thing, and that's why, like I said, once again, that's why I came to YouTube. I really came to really help people. You know, I hope one day to get monetized and get a little dinner money, but you know, I ain't gonna be crazy money. I'm not gonna get no, million subscribers and making 15,000 a month. That's not me, man. I'm hoping to get a little dinner money. Uh, I eat well. I'm chunky. Go get a steak. Relax for the day, man. That's kind of my plan. What I want to do. But yeah, so check those Stigs out. Check those two guys out for the Cisco site. It's like both of y'all trying to get in security. Like I said, I would just start looking at your local area. Daryl, I would reach out to your HR, because a lot of times HR doesn't understand. Um, nah, Daryl, I wish, man. I'll be 53 this year, man. My son's 34, man. I started early, man. My son's 34, man. I'll be 53 this year, man. So, nah, I'm trying to shut it down, man. Nah, I be hanging out with the old people, man. I be going to bed at 9 o'clock. So now it's all good. My channel, like I said, I'm trying to grow it. I do cyber news. I do sticks, and we call it society. We're gonna talk about privacy. We're gonna talk about overstepping of government, patching those servers. We're gonna facial recognition on drones, facial recognition, misidentifying black people and people of color. They arrested the wrong good dude in Detroit. So some of the society things with the overstep. So those are the three things. Shout out to Omega Black. We going to bed early. So yeah, so those are the three. And two is I'm interviewing. I think so Daryl, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I interviewed a guy on my channel. He's actually incident response and DR manager, and he basically said he was talking about degrees versus certs. So part of my job is to educate those guys. Certs are just as good as degrees, depending on your area. So that's one thing I'm trying to help in the industry is everybody doesn't need a degree. Everybody doesn't need a master's degree. A lot of times people got degrees. It's not even in the area that you're studying. I work with a lot of engineers and biologists. One lady is a botanist. She got her degree in social work, but she's the best policy writer I've ever seen in my life. So right, so there's a lot of people in this industry that has degrees that don't even. It's not even in IT. So 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 I think we got to work on HR to try to get them to understand that and balance that out. I think that's one thing we're actually kind of missing. HR, the disconnect between HR, IT, and especially cybersecurity is huge. You can see they want an entry level person, but they want them to have a CISP. I'm like, dude, to get a CISP, you got to have 5 years of cybersecurity experience. So a lot of these HR departments, I don't know how they're coming up with these requisitions for jobs. Then two is I think a lot of the older people that in the 80s, the only thing you could get really was a degree. So I don't think they really understand the world of certifications. So that's kind of my job to try to get them to understand that, right? Because we got to make cybersecurity and IT more inclusive, right? Because I think that's an arbitrary bar to IT and cybersecurity degree. I think that's kind of arbitrary bar to keep people out. Um, for me, like I said, I got a lot of old guys I work with. I'm part of the old guys that work with that. When they grew up, the only thing they understood was you got to go to college for 4 years. You got to get a degree. You got to work at this particular job for 4 years before you could get to another job, right? A lot of people have kind of this older mindset. Um, so that's one thing I think we need to do as a group, in YouTube, as a group, just in IT. Is just iron out what does certifications bring to the table. Why is the certifications good? Why? Not saying degrees are bad, but what's the negative part about a degree? When I graduated, I had to graduate with 132 hours of classes, learning. Only, I think 41 of those were IT related, right? So I took 90 hours of sociology, psychology, chemistry, right? So does that make me a well-rounded person because I took that, or did they just take my money, right? So there's a balance there, right? They're exactly what the CISSP. It's actually a job post for entry level. Right. See, it's crazy. And the crazy thing about it is, I respect the CISP. I actually took it 10 years ago, and I think I missed about 5 questions. Um, then I dropped down and took my Security Plus. I just been in the industry. Nobody's ever asked me what certifications I have because I just been doing this so long. And I did a big flex on accident. I haven't interviewed in the last 20 years. People actually invited me to come work for them. So I mean, I just kind of lucky in that area. Rico says years ago, work to learn, not just for money. Yeah, that's true, Calvin. And that's one thing I just lucked up on. I started programming when I was a junior in high school. through a vocational program. I actually meant to meet women because it was actually at a different school. So I was actually trying to meet some girls. So like I'm gonna go do programming at this other school, and I just loved it. I took to it, and I've been programming since 1984 off and on. So it's crazy when I say that. I mean, I actually was doing COBOL. We did COBOL, PL1, RPG. There was some other old program. So I started actually on a mini computer slash mainframe in 1984. So that's how long I've been in this game. I was doing networking, which was Novell before they actually did networking. There was no network. You put your stuff on a floppy disk, and if you went on a mainframe, you just took it to the next PC. There was no networking. I did Novell networking. I was certified Novell guy in '98. So wow. So yeah, so it's crazy as you see go from a mainframe to client server to internet to phone programming. It's just it's weird when you say that. Like I said before, I'm actually a real professor. So, I grew up in the hood. I'm that guy. My students, they trust me. So this one guy comes up, young brother, I loved him. He came up and he said, he was trembling. He said, Professor, I got a problem. I said, what's your problem, man? I said, there's no problems. There's only opportunity. He goes, man, I got locked up for a small time drug deal, right? He said it was nonviolent, but I was the kingpin, so I got locked up for 15 years. He said before he got locked up, he said the iPhone 1 just came out. So when he got out of jail 15 years later, he said it looked like the Jetsons. Because remember, iPhones was happening. He said the networking home stuff. So it was like, imagine getting locked up before the first smartphone and getting out 15 years later. So when he said that, I was like, man, that is crazy, right? That's how big technology's changed. Just going. Because I was just laughing. Like, I tell a lot of people don't know what a BlackBerry is, and they go, oh, I've never heard of it. I go, dude, BlackBerry programmers used to make $100,000 now. BlackBerry really doesn't exist. It's out there. It's a secure network, but most people never heard of it on a phone. Right, so there's a lot of things that's going to come and go with technology. Power Builder, Novell Network, right? So every 5 or 6 years, certain technologies is going to get swept away. So you got to make sure you're ready to jump on the next technology. You're ready to get the next bag, right? So the next bag, and we talk about all the time, of course, is the cloud, right? I'm working on my AWS. I'm going to start labbing in AWS on my channel. I'm going to set up VBC. I'm going to do the stick checks in the VBC inside AWS, right? So what is the next thing you need to do to make sure you don't become obsolete? Dang, getting in office without playing, that's God. Nah, Daryl, that's just being old, man, and networking, man. I'm bringing some guys I used to work with from DOD. A couple of them work for AWS. One of them work for Google. So when you work with top guys that are good, when they leave, they just give you a shout out. We looking for somebody, right? So yeah, I just never thought about it, man. I haven't interviewed in 21 years. So when I was at DOD, the cool thing is inside DOD, I probably had 5 jobs in my 11 years, but it was the same contract. And people there was like, I want you on my team. Now I've been at this current state contract, I'm amazed, for 10 years, right? So, and they just extended me for another 2. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So yeah, it's just, yeah, I never thought about like that guy mode. It's just like, I just got, some of it's luck, some of it's skill, a lot of it's luck. I got at the right contract with the right time. I met the right people. They were progressive. They were like, hey, you got the skills, you cool. Like I said, and as we started leaving that contract and going to different jobs, lady became the CIO of a state agency. Then she invited me to come here. Then I've been here ever since. Then she went to Colorado, and she was trying to get me to come to Colorado. I just was joking with her. I said, black people don't ski. I can't come to Colorado. There's too much snow. So I'm trying to figure out my next move, though. Right, but the current contract I'm on, we doing a lot of cloud stuff, getting comfortable with the cloud, doing multiple clouds. So I'm trying to make sure I've got that down pat. So my next move, I'm hoping it's going to be doing some AWS somewhere and making some of that AWS, as we say, the bag. UFO, what's up? If I would have heard about it in my childhood, I would love to take on a small project and get familiar. I feel I'm so far behind. That's true. That's a good point. But UFO, we all behind, man. It's just how far are you behind, right? And two is with the certifications. Kev Tech's doing the help desk stuff. Tech G's got the free A plus, Network Plus, and I think he's working on Security Plus. So he's doing that. Master IT, he's doing it at a low cost. So there's a lot of channels on here that's giving you free and low cost stuff UFO to catch up. We all behind UFO. We all behind. Um, yeah, Omega Black. I think AWS and Azure is kind of neck to neck. I think AWS is bigger, but AWS is pissing so many companies off. They're actually going to Azure because AWS is competing with people. Like AWS has Prime videos on it, right? So Netflix is like, we on AWS. Netflix gonna move to Azure because they're like, dude, I'm not gonna pay you money so you can compete against me in my area of expertise. Like Amazon bought Whole Foods, right? That's a grocery store. So there's a lot of grocery stores that use AWS that's gonna move to Azure. So AWS is trying to take over the world. So I think, especially if you're a Microsoft shop, I'm a Linux Unix guy, but if you're strictly a Microsoft shop, it's a lot easier to lift to get to Azure. And Azure just won that $10 billion Jedi contract from the government. I think AWS is going to sue, but out the box, if you looked it up, I think that Azure Jedi contract was $10 billion over the next 10 years. I don't think Microsoft needs any more money, but um, but I don't think they're gonna win. Oh yeah, UFO. Yeah. Like I said, we can chop it up and talk about it. That's gonna be one thing. And we also one of the questions I always ask my interviewers is, search degrees or both, right? So I'm trying to get them to understand it should be both, right? Search should at least get you in the door so you can prove yourself. Then at worst case, once you get in the door, your job can pay for your degree, right? You might have to stay 2 or 3 years with them. Like one of the employer I work for paid for my master's degree, and I just had to stay 3 years. The cool thing is, it took me 2 years to get the master's degree, so it wasn't a big deal, right? So they didn't word it correctly. I said you said 3 years. You didn't say when I got it. You said in 3 years, right? So it took me 2 years to get it, and I just worked for one more year. I think I stayed an extra year, but then I left and I started doing it, right? Yeah, Mega Black. Ask a couple people. That's my 2 cents on that. I the CompTIA. If you're new to it, I would do like I said. I always call it the trifecta of CompTIA: A plus, Network plus, and Security plus. Once you get that, then I would jump into because you need that foundation before you jump into AWS. Because in AWS, if you don't know what network working plus is, you can't set up your VPC networking, right? You spinning up VMs and you spinning up Windows servers and Windows boxes. So if you don't understand the foundations of A plus, a little bit about operating system, how that work, you're not going to be able to work in AWS or Azure. So I think you need those three foundational certs before you jump into the cloud. Unless you got unless you got experience, but I still would take those three certs, like I said, as foundational certs before you jump into the cloud. So that's what I would recommend on that. I did a little work in Silicon Valley probably 6 years ago. They won't let you do hardware on prem. The reason why is a venture capitalist doesn't want to own hardware, right? He wants you to spin up your VMs, do your work. If you're successful, cool. If you're not, that's cool. We're just gonna tear down the VMs. I don't have to own any hardware. I don't have to keep any hardware, and I'm only gonna pay for what I use, right? So that's why everybody from a venture capitalist wants to get you in the cloud, right? Because you're paying for what you need. And two is, if you do the cloud right, I don't need database administrator, right? I can run SQL Server in the cloud, Oracle in the cloud, or MySQL in the cloud. They'll do the admin work, right? Because when you spin it up under their service, they're patching it, they're keeping it up to date. So the only thing I have to worry about is my code and my intellectual property. If I spin up IIS in the cloud or Apache and Tomcat in the cloud, they're going to manage the hardware for me. The only thing I have to worry about is my intellectual property, right? So as an investment, it's way cheaper and easier for me to do that, right? I don't really need a SME in networking. I just do some basic VPC. You can hit a button and they can actually spin up a NIST approved STIG environment for you, right? And the only thing you have to worry about is your intellectual property. UFO. I was trying to find out. I was trying to find you on a LinkedIn, but I take it you are an enemy model, not to be loud, but I'm not really trying to chat. Box was definitely. I'm in there. Just look up Alpha Cybersecurity and ProfessorBlackOps. ProfessorBlackOps is one word. Look up Alpha Cybersecurity. ProfessorBlackOps is one word, and it'll give you my government name in there, which is cool. Just ping me on there. Just put UFO when you ping me. So you can find me on there. It's not hard. Like I said, do Alpha Cybersecurity and ProfessorBlackOps. He actually linked it to to my government LinkedIn, which was cool. I kind of flinched, but I don't really care anymore. Like I said, I'm kind of coming out. I'm not in the manosphere. I'm not talking about high value men or anything. So I don't think anybody's really gonna try to dox me. I'm just talking about technology, what we need to do, get better. My tech is federal security, GRC, which is government risk and compliance, which is basically security checks and how to actually run a security program. So once you get out of your AWS, your Linux, your networking, how do we run a security program as a small company to make sure the company is secure? And really, when you talk about security at that level from a company perspective, you're really talking about risk. So I'm in meetings with CEOs and presidents and vice presidents. So they want to know what is their risk of getting hacked and what is the financial liability. Is that $1 billion, $10 million? What is that? And what is the level of risk I think it is, right? Because when you do risk at a certain level, the business has got to set that risk, right? Because if you got a security hole and the business think they're gonna make $1 billion in 3 months, they ain't gonna give a shit about the security hole. They're gonna tell you to run that server and do the best you can, right? We're gonna get the bag, right? So that's kind of risk you gotta tell them. You got a 20% chance of getting hacked. You got a 30% chance. You got a 40% chance, right? So at level of risk, what does that actually mean for your company, right? What does that mean from your level, right? So like when you talk about Cisco, cool, okay, Cisco, it's our networking. It's controlling the traffic. It's doing the right encryption, right? We got it STIG, right? Okay. So the risk of that getting hacked is 5%. But if I got my application out there and my application's got crappy controls in it and I can just pull up a web page and pull all the data out, right? Does my Cisco matter? Nah, because the weak link is the application. I could just log in the application. It might even have user and password. I just hit the URL. It brings me in and I can start flipping through people's account records and stealing people's social security number, right? So so that's part of the risk as an organization. You see me out there, UFO, you see me? Yeah, just ping me. Ping me on LinkedIn. We can chat it up. And two is I'm gonna start doing Q&As and just having people dropping the link and let people come up. My computer, I gotta get a little more memory on my computer. I tried doing an interview last Monday and it didn't go well, so I'm getting my little memory upgrade. I'm actually gonna get a new machine soon with a little more power. So let's see if there's any more questions. But yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm an AWS guy. I think Azure is right behind. I think HR is what did he say? I gotta put that on my channel. A gatekeeper. I think HR is a gatekeeper, and I think they're keeping people out. I think they're keeping people out of technology and cybersecurity unnecessarily. A lot of this stuff, even if you are trained, companies going to train you the way they want you to do it. Like our networking guys do networking a certain way, right? Our programming guys, they do agile a certain way, right? Our sysadmins do things a certain way, right? So the company's going to train you on how they want you to do business, right? As long as you have a foundation of understanding. And the other thing is which is good and bad, is this is a lifetime of learning, which is good and bad. Some days I'm tired, but I gotta learn AWS, right? I gotta learn Azure, right? I gotta learn how to configure that through the console. I don't have to be great at everything, but I need an understanding of it from at least a security perspective, so I can look at an AWS architectural diagram and understand what's going on in it, right? So this is a lifetime of learning. So I'm gonna hang on tight. Does anybody got any questions for me? Like I said, I'm gonna winding down. I've been going for about an hour, so I'm just kind of winding up, wishing everybody a good Friday. IT should have it on HR. A lot of times, HR takes it upon themselves because they get these templates for certain job functions. And a lot of times, IT managers, they're old and they're actually thinking the degrees. They think it's 1980s. They don't know it's certs out there with that are very hard. That's going to teach you the foundations, and you take a test. A lot of times there are online tests to make sure you're aware of it. It's just not all multiple choice questions. So I think HR and some older guys in IT are missing that, right? Because I've been debating some of those older guys in IT saying, hey, we need to get on the current mark, or hey, like I said, I brought the young guy on. If you look back, named Cameron Leckler, he actually had a master's degree, and they were trying to kind of blocking him, saying, well, he didn't have any real experience, but he was a programmer. But I'm like, dude, how you? That's the same thing. Is if I need experience, how do I get experience if you won't give me a job to get experience to get the job, right? That's the old age old thing. So I told him, I like him, I want him, he's smart, he's coming on this team, and I got his back, right? So I think those are some of the problems we have in Omega Black. I think we got to push on it, we got to work on. And two is I think, not trying to be evil, I'm part of that, is in another 5 or 6 years, I think the new managers coming on that are younger, that they're familiar with certs. They familiar with remote work. They familiar with just that different technology. Right, like remote work, we've been talking about that for 20 years. It took the pandemic to actually make that happen. Why? Because a lot of people weren't comfortable managing people remotely. Right, so it's just a different ball game. Like I said, I think the new breed is coming up, and like I said, my job is whisper in their ear, make sure they're good, make sure there's no imposter syndrome. Let's get the bag. We all gonna be great, man. All good, Calvin. I appreciate this, and like most definitely the most lit guru platform. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. There's some guys out there I'm trying to catch up, man, but I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm trying to bring my 35 years of experience to the mat and just kind of talk about it. Like I said, in more of a security program, just a little different. Talk about kind of real world and how we maneuver, just not technology, like you said. How do I get the job? They won't take my certs. They won't, how do we overcome that, right? How do you go to a SME and connect with the SME to help pull you in, right? So those are some things we need to work on. Do me a favor, UFO. If you go to my, it's Professor Black Ops, one word, at gmail.com. Just hit my Gmail. If you go in my community tab on my YouTube, just hit my email on there. It's Professor Black Ops, all one word, at gmail.com. Go on my community tab. Hit me up. I'll make sure I check it. I check it like every 3 days. So if I'm a little late, you if I don't hold against me. I got like 50 email now. I got like 5 email addresses. I'm always doing something. But yeah, just hit me up on that, UFO. Hit my community tab, but it's actually Professor Black Ops at gmail.com. So I actually went out there and did I got to remember that. I'm gonna start putting it in my description so y'all can hit me up. So yeah, we can definitely chop it up. Like I said, I'm gonna start doing panels and bringing people up so we can actually chop it up one on one. If you got things specific, like I said, I need to get a little more memory on my computer so we can make that happen. But I think we rolling. Anybody got any other questions? Once again, ProfessorBlackOps at gmail.com. Hit my community tab. And two is if I don't get back with you, just cause come to one of my videos, I try to answer all my comments. My channel's not that big, so if you leave a comment, I'm gonna answer. I'm at least say I appreciate it or I thanks, or if I don't know, I'm gonna send you to somebody on YouTube I trust. That's in that area. Like I said, networking, I'm okay, but I'm Dewan definitely is the man, and definitely a network bro from entry level, making moves, labbing every day. Like I said, he labs Monday through Thursday, 90% of the time. So they definitely out there. Like I said, I'm wrapping it up. I think I'm gonna go get me some lunch, even though I'm supposed to be on a diet. I'm failing at the diet, fellas, in the pandemic. I'm gonna have to work on that. Shout out to people with discipline on the food. I got a lot on me. So everybody have a great weekend. Let's lab every day. Let's get the bag. I'm signing off. Talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Hit me up on that ProfessorBlackOps at gmail.com. What? Hold tight. I appreciate that, Calvin. UFO, everybody, that's my Gmail. Just hit me up if you need anything, or if you got a question, or if you're looking for some specific or a video. Long as in the cybersecurity realm, I'm probably 95%. I do it. But like I said, these are gonna be kind of my Friday talk. We're just gonna pick a topic, kind of freestyle it, kind of throw questions in and out. I thank everybody for coming. UFO, you see it? UFO, I posted it.